Have you ever wondered if the objects inside your own home, inside your very bedroom, could be opening doors to something dark, something you never intended to invite? Imagine this. You lie down to rest at night, the lights are off, and silence fills the air. Yet in the corners of the room, shadows seem heavier than usual. Sometimes you feel a presence, a coldness, or even wake up restless without knowing why. Could it be stress? Could it be your imagination? Or could it be that the items around you are silently influencing your spiritual life? Saint Faustina Kowalska, the Polish nun who became the messenger of divine mercy, left us not only messages of hope and grace, but also warnings. She knew very well that the spiritual world is not a distant realm. It touches our daily lives, our choices, and even the hidden details of what we keep in our homes. Today we are going to explore one of the most urgent warnings, the danger of objects that might seem harmless, decorative, or fashionable. Yet in reality, they serve as open invitations to darkness. These are items that can disturb peace, weaken faith, and allow demons to claim a place where only God should reign. This is not about superstition. It's about spiritual reality. And if you stay with me until the end of this video, you will discover the truth behind these objects, why Saint Faustina would warn us about them, and how you can protect your home and soul from invisible attacks. Before we begin, I invite you to subscribe to this channel and activate the notifications. We share deep reflections, revelations, and warnings that can transform your life and strengthen your spiritual journey. Don't miss what heaven wants to reveal to you. Now, let us begin. In the teachings of the Church, the home is meant to be a sanctuary, a place of safety, of prayer, of refuge. But just as a house has windows and doors that can let in light or darkness, our rooms contain symbolic, spiritual doors. These doors are not made of wood or glass. They are choices, influences, and objects that either honor God or dishonor Him. Saint Faustina understood the seriousness of these doors. In her diary, she wrote about how souls can become exposed to demonic influence simply by neglecting prayer, by allowing distractions, or by being careless with worldly attachments. But beyond personal attitudes, there is also the physical environment. What we keep near us matters. Consider this. If you place a crucifix on your wall, you are declaring Christ's presence. If you place the Bible on your nightstand, you are surrounding yourself with truth. If you hang a holy image, you are inviting heavenly intercession. But if, instead, you allow objects tied to darkness, symbols of death, occultism, or false power, then the opposite happens. You are silently inviting that which does not come from God. This is why discernment is vital. The devil rarely enters with loud noises or open threats. He prefers subtlety, hidden forms, and the appearance of innocence. What could be just decoration might be the very crack through which shadows crawl. Saint Faustina's life was filled with visions of both divine light and demonic attacks. She described how demons would appear in various forms, trying to frighten her, distract her, or pull her away from prayer. But she also revealed that demons are drawn to certain environments, especially places where faith is absent and worldly influences dominate. If she were here today, imagine how strongly she would warn us about the kinds of objects people casually bring into their bedrooms. Occult jewelry, symbols of death, exotic idols, talismans, and books of magic. Each one, she would say, is not neutral. Each one has a spiritual weight. For Saint Faustina, holiness was not only about prayer, but about creating an atmosphere of purity. The heart, the mind, and yes, the very room where you sleep should reflect God's presence. A bedroom is not just a space for resting the body. It is also a space where the soul opens to dreams, to silence, to encounters with God, or with the enemy. The first and most obvious category of dangerous objects are occult symbols and items directly linked to witchcraft, magic, or sorcery. Think of things like Ouija boards, tarot cards, amulets promising protection or luck, statues of pagan deities, books of spells or rituals. These are not just toys or decorations, they are spiritual traps. By keeping them, you declare curiosity or even allegiance to powers that oppose God. And let's be clear, there are only two spiritual sources, heaven or hell. If something does not come from God, it opens you to the enemy. Saint Faustina would never have allowed such items near her. She knew they attract oppression, nightmares, confusion, and unrest. And yet, in today's world, many treat them as harmless entertainment. This is exactly the devil's strategy, to disguise poison as candy. Not every object that invites darkness comes with obvious symbols of sorcery. Some of them are much more subtle, wrapped in music, movies, books, and images that glorify sin. Think for a moment about what lies on your shelves or in your digital playlists. Posters that celebrate violence, films filled with demonic imagery, or even books that glorify witchcraft. Many people keep these in their bedrooms, thinking they are harmless hobbies. But in the spiritual realm, every message carries a vibration. Every image either draws us closer to the light or drags us into the shadows. Saint Faustina spoke repeatedly of how the mind must remain pure, focused on Christ. She warned that the imagination is fertile ground for temptation. When your last sight before sleeping is a movie glorifying death or evil, you are shaping your subconscious to be fertile ground for fear, despair, and sin. Do you see how cleverly the enemy works? He doesn't just tempt through actions, he plants seeds through what you allow into your eyes and ears. By surrounding your room with dark entertainment, you prepare the soil for his influence. This is why holy saints insist on the importance of holy images, sacred music, and uplifting words. They replace the toxic atmosphere with an environment that attracts angels rather than demons. Another category of objects that Saint Faustina would warn us about are those that have been spiritually contaminated. These are items that come from occult rituals, superstitious practices, unknown, origins linked to curses, or even gifts given with evil intent. It may surprise you, but throughout history, countless testimonies describe how cursed objects brought misfortune, unrest, and even physical disturbances into homes. People report shadows moving, objects falling, constant sickness, or a suffocating heaviness in their rooms, all traced back to an item introduced without discernment. Saint Faustina experienced firsthand the attacks of demons. She would understand immediately that objects used in rituals or infused with evil intentions carry a dark presence. Keeping them in your room is like leaving the door unlocked for an intruder. This is why discernment and prayer are essential. Not everything given to you as a gift is harmless. Not every souvenir you bring from travels is spiritually neutral. Some items carry with them a history of worship to false gods or participation in occult practices. The safest path? Always bless objects that enter your home. Use holy water. Invoke Christ. And if your spirit feels unrest when near a certain item, don't ignore it. Remove it. Saint Faustina's warnings would extend to objects that symbolize false religions and idols. Consider statues of pagan gods, masks used in shamanic rituals, dream catchers linked to indigenous spirit worship, symbols of New Age spirituality, like crystals used for healing energies. Now, some might argue, but it's just decoration. Yet, ask yourself, what does it symbolize? Who does it honor? The first commandment is clear. You shall have no other gods before me. Idolatry isn't only about bowing down before an idol. It's also about tolerating symbols in your environment that represent worship to something other than the one true God. Saint Faustina, in her devotion to divine mercy, insisted that the human heart belongs entirely to Christ. No divided loyalties, no subtle invitations to spirits disguised as cultural tokens. By keeping idols in your room, you unintentionally honor powers that are not of heaven. These idols attract the presence of spirits that thrive on recognition, and once they are welcomed, they resist leaving. This is why exorcists often insist on cleansing homes from objects of false worship, because the devil loves to dwell where he is honored, even indirectly. Why is all this important? Because the bedroom is more than four walls. It is where the soul rests, where the subconscious opens, where dreams unfold. Saint Faustina often wrote about her visions at night, how she encountered Christ, angels, or at times fierce attacks from demons. The night is a spiritual battlefield. When the environment of your room is filled with holy symbols, prayer, and purity, your nights become opportunities for grace. You may rest in peace, dream with clarity, and even receive spiritual strength. But when the environment is polluted with occult symbols, dark entertainment, cursed objects, or idols, the opposite occurs. Instead of peace, you find nightmares. Instead of rest, you experience oppression. Instead of clarity, confusion. This is not imagination, it is spiritual reality. Countless people testify to how their lives changed once they removed dangerous objects from their bedrooms. Sleep improved, anxiety lessened, a sense of peace returned. Saint Faustina would remind us, Christ is the Prince of Peace. If peace is absent, something in your environment may be blocking his presence. At this point, you might be wondering, how do I know if something in my room is dangerous? Here are key signs to discern. Does the object have ties to occult, magic, or false religion? Was the object received from someone involved in dark practices? Does the object cause you unrest, fear, or heaviness when you are near it? Does it contradict the teachings of Christ? If the answer to any of these is yes, then the object is spiritually dangerous. Saint Faustina would advise immediate action. Pray over it, bless it, or if necessary, remove it completely from your room. Remember, no decoration, no sentimental gift, no collectible is worth risking your peace and salvation. Now that we understand the dangers, what can we do to protect ourselves? Saint Faustina emphasized the power of God's mercy, prayer, and the use of sacred items to purify the environment. Here are practical steps to cleanse your room spiritually. Prayer first. Begin by praying aloud. Ask Christ to fill the room with his light and to banish any dark presence. A simple prayer could be, Lord Jesus Christ, I invite you into this room. Fill it with your light. Protect me from all evil and cleanse this space of any darkness. Amen. Holy water. Use blessed water to sprinkle corners, walls, and near windows. This is a powerful sacramental that brings protection and repels any negative influence. Sacred images. Place a crucifix on your wall, a Bible on your nightstand, and a holy image, such as the Divine Mercy image of Jesus, where it can be clearly seen. These items are not merely symbolic. They serve as spiritual guardians, reminding both you and the spiritual world that Christ reigns here. Remove dangerous objects. As we discussed in previous sections, items connected to the occult, false religions, or dark entertainment must be removed. Saint Faustina would remind us, faithfulness sometimes requires detachment from what seems harmless but is spiritually dangerous. Consistent prayer before bed. Make it a habit to pray before sleeping. Even 5 minutes of focused prayer invites God's presence into your nights. Light a candle, kneel, or recite the Divine Mercy Chaplet. This establishes a boundary of protection around your sleep. Sacramentals, holy objects blessed by the Church, are not just decorative, they carry spiritual authority. Saint Faustina experienced countless moments of protection through these items. The crucifix, a direct reminder of Christ's victory over sin and death. Place it so it faces your bed. Rosary. Holding or keeping it near you invites Mary's intercession, which is a powerful defense against evil. Holy water. Beyond cleansing, it creates an invisible shield when sprinkled in corners and on personal items. Divine mercy. Image. This reminds us of God's endless mercy and his power to chase away darkness. These sacramentals transform your room into a sanctuary. They are not just objects, they are extensions of prayer, faith, and God's protection. Saint Faustina's life is a testimony to how small acts of devotion, combined with vigilance, can keep one safe from spiritual attacks. Beyond objects, Saint Faustina reminds us that spiritual vigilance begins in the heart and mind. Guard your thoughts, avoid despair, and immerse yourself in prayer. The bedroom, after all, is where the subconscious rests. If your mind is pure, the soul rests in peace. If your mind is filled with worry, sin, or exposure to darkness, the enemy finds an open door. Remember, the enemy works subtly. He thrives in corners of neglect, in distractions, and in the subtle approval of objects or media that dishonor God. Saint Faustina teaches us that vigilance, combined with divine mercy, creates a barrier stronger than any physical lock. Your home, and especially your bedroom, should be a place of peace, grace, and protection. Saint Faustina's warnings are not meant to frighten, but to empower you with knowledge. Every object has spiritual weight. Every choice has consequences. By inviting Christ into your space, by removing darkness, and by embracing the sacraments, you transform your room into a haven of divine presence. Remember, spiritual reality is real. The unseen world interacts with the seen world. You have the power to invite angels and repel demons, all through faith, prayer, and wise discernment. Before we conclude, I want to remind you to subscribe to this channel and activate notifications. We share essential spiritual teachings, warnings, and insights that can strengthen your faith and protect your soul. Join our community and allow these messages to guide you toward light, peace, and divine mercy. May your home be filled with peace. May every corner be illuminated with the presence of Christ. And may you rest each night, knowing that with vigilance, prayer, and the sacraments, you are protected from all evil. This is the message Saint Faustina wanted to share with all of us. Beware of the objects around you, choose holiness in every corner, and never underestimate the power of God's mercy.